Here's a list of 7 signs you're making progress with chronic fatigue syndrome. Number 1, skin color and eyes. We see this with all our clients through our mentorship, and this is where when they start their recovery journey, they're usually quite pale and their skin is kind of grubby. You can tell that their health isn't that good. But what happens as they start to get better is that their coloration in their skin starts to come back. And you can literally see the difference from 3 months ago to now. In particular, I remember we had a member called Sue, and she did a before photo and she was quite grey, her eyes were quite shoddy, and you could tell that she wasn't feeling good. And fast forward kind of 3 to 6 months, it was literally like looking at a different person. She had clearer skin, she had clearer eyes, and you could tell that her health was coming back. And usually you are the last person to recognize this sign of progress. It's usually going to come from an external source who goes, wow, your skin looks so much better. Number 2, doing more without even realizing. It's so easy to get down on yourself when you're going through this journey and you're like, oh, I'm not making progress, like this isn't working. But if you actually zoomed out and you looked from 6 months ago to now, you might be noticing that you actually are doing more without realizing it. Maybe you're doing more around the house, maybe you're walking around more, maybe you're socializing more. Maybe your energy and your attitude is more energetic than it was previously before you started this journey. And so pay attention to this added progress of doing more without even realizing it. Number 3, this is a funny one. Some people feel a little bit funny about this one, is good progress is a sign of good digestion. And what I mean by that is healthy poos. Yeah, I said it, healthy poos. And what we want to look at is the consistency and the frequency of you going to the bathroom, okay? Now, a healthy poo is a formed poo, and it's really making sure that it's a solid one. It's not, loose stool, diarrhea, or the opposite, which can be constipation. As you start to become more regular and you have regular bowel movements and they're healthy formed poos, that's actually a really good sign of digestive health and a really good sign of progress. Number 4, the return of libido. Now, this is a huge one for both females and males where, if you've been sick for a while, your libido is usually one of the things that goes. And a sure tail sign of progress is noticing that your libido is coming back. Now, it might not be through the roof, and that's okay, but you just might notice that you might have more sexual energy and I guess that feeling of arousal comparatively compared to when you were first initially ill. And again, that's a really good sign of progress that your sex hormones are working really, really well. Number 5, revived appetite. And this is where your metabolism is starting to work again and where you are starting to wake up feeling hungry, or at least from lunch and dinner, you're starting to want to eat more. Typically what we see with people with chronic fatigue syndrome and associated illnesses is that their appetite starts to go. They find it really hard to eat breakfast. Maybe nausea, brain fog, dizziness is a factor in that. But again, a sure tail sign of progress is your appetite. It's the speed of your metabolism. And as you start to get better, this starts to get better too. Number 6, a decrease in symptoms. Now, this might mean that not all of your symptoms are gone yet, but this certainly means that your list of symptoms are decreasing and the severity of those symptoms are starting to decrease. And we see this all the time. Once you get your baseline right, once you get your nutrition right, once you get your circadian rhythm right, once you get your restorative movement right and your progression plan right, you're starting to get healthy. And when you start to get healthy, guess what happens? Your symptoms start to decrease. Your health goes up, your symptoms start to go down. And so pay attention. You kind of need to zoom in on this one because you're so externally focused on all the things that aren't working that if you actually zoomed out for a moment, if you compare now to 6 to 12 months ago, hopefully you can see, if you're doing the right things, that your symptoms are decreasing and they're certainly not as severe. They don't last as long as compared to they did first when you were ill. Number 7, increased engagement with household chores and other household things with family and friends. And You know, this is an interesting one because I think before you experience chronic fatigue syndrome, you probably don't like household chores. You probably don't want to do the washing. You probably don't want to do the dishes. But something crazy happens as you start to get better. You start to want to do the washing. You start to want to do the dishes. You start to appreciate the fact that you can do them, that you can cook, right? You want to cook because you can cook. You want to do the dishes because you can do the dishes, where previously, again, 6-12 months ago, maybe that wasn't in your current capacity. And so just notice maybe you're doing more around the house without realizing it, and maybe you're coming back alive. We typically see this with members inside the mentorship. After 6-9 months, they're almost like a different person, and their family, friends, and members start to go, wow, like where's this sass come from? Or you've got your energy back, you're singing again, you're being cheeky again. And this is a sure sign that you are making progress with your health and your recovery. I hope this video is helpful. Make sure you comment below what was your biggest insight and takeaway from the 7 key signs of progress.